I think gender identity should be self-determined. Self-identification is very important. If you feel like a woman or a man and your heart and mind tells you that you're a certain way, I think you have every right in this country, fundamental right, to pursue dignity, pursue respect, and pursue your liberation.
To start off, Apsara is a lovely name. Why and how did you decide to name yourself that?
First of all, thank you. I think for me, while picking a name for myself, the most important person that I had to consult with was my mother. So we went through a couple of names, and I really liked the name Apsara because it signified it's multi-religious, it's multi-faith, and also it adds this kind of it has a ring to it, which I really liked. So Apsara Reddy also adds up to astrologically to number 23, which is a lucky number according to me. So that's why Apsara.
So you had an illustrious career in journalism. Talk to us a little bit about that. You know, the most memorable moments and not so memorable ones.
See, journalism has been like the biggest high in my life. I've covered the Iraq war. I have covered the tsunami. I've also I've interviewed Michael Schumacher, Nicolas Cage. So I think I've learned so much about people, cultures, and it shaped my attitude. It shaped my growth graph. Right. Journalism has given me acceptance. Because of journalism, a lot of people found answers in my writing, in my success, in my life. And I think journalism made it easy for me to transition and to find acceptance. The high points of journalism would be like I was invited to address the European Parliament, which was amazing. The low points would always be like covering human interest stories where you can't do much more than just writing or filming it. But then I think you'd hope that your writing and your digital footprint can influence people and authorities. Sometimes it's disappointing. But as a journalist, we try and do our best to do good for public.
So, you know, a huge debate is that gender is a social construct. What are your views on that?
I think gender, as the Supreme Court itself says, I think gender identity should be self-determined. Self-identification is very important. If you feel like a woman or a man and your heart and mind tells you that you're a certain way, I think you have every right in this country, fundamental right, to pursue dignity, pursue respect, and pursue your liberation. It's very sad that we live in times when people are told they're not good enough, and sometimes, medically, legally, and politically, we have to fight really hard to find our space. I think gender identity should be left to the individual to decide how they feel. I think there is a judgment on this from the Supreme Court called the Nalsa judgment.
So do you think that India as a country is still hugely apathetic towards transgender issues, and what can be done to break away from that long-standing taboo and stereotypes?
See, this is a two-pronged question, and I think I have a two-pronged answer.
Okay.
I feel transgender women, I'll start with what we can do as transgender women. First of all, for us to find acceptance and mainstreaming, we need to also moderate our behaviors. Right. If you're going to be going around in groups and clapping your hands and threatening people, it's difficult for people to accept you. If you want to adopt kids, you want marriage, you want to be settled in families, you also have to moderate your behavior. The other part of it is like when society and governments are concerned, if there's no medical subsidy, it's very difficult to transition, and people will continue to bully you and make fun of you. Right. If there's no reservation in education, how then do we access jobs? If there's no reservation in housing, when people throw transgender women out or transgender men out or LGBT people out, how then do you kind of fend for yourself on the streets? It's because of hunger that they get into prostitution and begging. It's because of hunger that they get into all kinds of illegal things. I think we have to kind of provide opportunity, provide access to employment, education, medical facilities. Then we can talk about mainstreaming everybody.
Following from the previous question, do you think advertisers, filmmakers and writers are doing enough to basically change the way society views the LGBT community?
Not at all. I feel the mass media is the biggest bane for the LGBT community, because most of the TV shows you see, or most of the films you see, they have like these animated characters who are either playing gay or transgender women, who are basically like dancing around men and showing their cleavages and trying to be really funny. But I think that doesn't do any justice to the rights movement of the LGBT community. And I think filmmakers and advertisers should be very sensitive and look at us as a talent pool and a skill set, and people who live in homes, in societies, in workplaces. And if that gets conveyed, I think it'll be easy for people to kind of mainstream the sights and sounds of LGBT people. I think pushing us to a place of just humor, I think that's a great injustice to us.
Last question. Is there any piece of artwork that you relate to at a personal level?
There's so many artists' work that I admire. I love Ravi Verma's paintings because they signify womanhood in its utmost beauty, completely covered in a sari, very traditional Indian woman, yet so strong and powerful with very reassuring eyes. And I think the beauty of any human being lies in their eyes. And I think it's the root to their heart and to their mind, and it reveals so much about a person. So Ravi Verma's paintings are artworks that I love.